Welcome to our video on Guardians of the Harem. Join us as we delve into the intriguing history and stories behind the loyal protectors of the royal harems. If you enjoy the content, please like, share, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and let's embark on this fascinating journey together. In the cradle of civilization, eunuchs played crucial roles in royal households. Castration was employed to create loyal servants who posed no threat to the king's lineage. These men, often captured in wars or born into servitude, were entrusted with the most intimate and sensitive tasks, particularly guarding the royal harem. The absence of sexual desire, presumed to result from castration, was believed to make them more trustworthy and less likely to conspire with royal women. The lives of these eunuchs were paradoxical. On the one hand, they held positions of considerable influence and trust. On the other, they lived with the physical and emotional trauma of their condition. Their loyalty was coerced through a brutal process that stripped them of their manhood, leaving them in a state of perpetual servitude. Ancient Egypt, with its breathtaking pyramids and temples adorning the banks of the Nile, stood as a civilization built on the backs of countless laborers, many of whom were enslaved. These enslaved people were drawn from conquered lands, captured in battle, or forced into servitude due to debts. Among them, captured soldiers faced a particularly harsh fate. Stripped of their freedom and identity upon capture, some were subjected to emasculation, a brutal practice intended not only to hinder physically but also to disempower psychologically. For these prisoners of war, emasculation served as a stark reminder of their subjugation. By removing their ability to reproduce and asserting physical dominance over them, Egyptian rulers sought to ensure a compliant and docile labor force. The act of emasculation was as much a tool of control as it was a method of punishment designed to prevent any future rebellion by diminishing the captive's physical and psychological capacity to resist. Another form of emasculation unfolded within the sanctums of Egypt's royal courts. Enslaved men who earned the trust of the pharaoh and his elite circle were often transformed into eunuchs. These individuals were typically tasked with intimate roles and essential responsibilities within the palace. Emasculation was seen as a means to eliminate the perceived threat of sexual competition or familial allegiance. Eunuchs, devoid of reproductive capability and personal ties, were considered more loyal and dependable in their service to the royal household. In positions of privilege yet stripped of masculinity, these eunuchs navigated the corridors of power as living symbols of their altered identities. Their emasculation was a constant reminder of their subordinate status and the absolute authority of the ruling class. Despite their proximity to power, they remained tethered to their roles as loyal servants, their emasculated state reinforcing their subservience within the hierarchical structure of ancient Egyptian society. Thus, in both the fields of labor and the halls of royalty, emasculation in ancient Egypt served dual purposes, as a method of control over a captive workforce and a means to ensure the unquestioned authority of the ruling elite. It underscored the stark realities of power dynamics in an empire built on the labor and subjugation of others, leaving a lasting imprint on ancient Egypt's social and cultural landscape. In the vast expanse of the Roman Empire, where the grandeur of marble cities and the might of legions stretched from Britannia to Mesopotamia, slavery was a fundamental pillar of society. Enslaved individuals, captured in conquests or born into servitude, formed the backbone of Rome's economy and infrastructure. Among them, men faced the harsh realities of labor and the constant specter of emasculation. This brutal practice served as a stark reminder of their subordinate status and the ruthless authority of their masters. In the bustling markets of Rome, where the clamor of commerce filled the air, enslaved men were bought and sold like livestock. Many were consigned to back-breaking labor on vast agricultural estates, where they toiled under the scorching sun to feed the empire's insatiable appetite for grain and produce. Others mined precious metals in the treacherous depths of the earth, their lives marked by the constant threat of injury and death. For these men, the fear of punishment and emasculation loomed large as mechanisms of control. The whip and the rod were wielded mercilessly to ensure compliance, while the specter of emasculation served as a dire warning against disobedience or rebellion. In the arenas where gladiators clashed in bloody combat, enslaved men faced not only the perils of the arena but also the looming threat of emasculation. Gladiators, often slaves or prisoners of war, fought not just for glory but for their very survival. The possibility of emasculation hung over them as a punishment for failure or defiance. This fate would strip them of not just their physical prowess, identity, and dignity. Another form of emasculation unfolded within the opulent confines of Roman villas and palaces. Enslaved men who earned the trust of their masters were sometimes transformed into eunuchs through castration. These eunuchs served in intimate roles as trusted attendants, administrators, or guardians. Emasculation ensured their loyalty and dependency, as it removed the threat of sexual competition and reinforced their subservient status. Their emasculated state became a symbol of their complete subjugation to the will of their masters, bound in service with no possibility of autonomy or personal agency. Emasculation in the Roman Empire, whether inflicted through physical punishment, castration, or constant threat, enforced the hierarchical order upon which the empire rested. It was a tool of control wielded by those in power to maintain dominance over a vast and diverse population of enslaved individuals. In the mosaic of Roman society, emasculation marked the boundaries of servitude and power, leaving an indelible imprint on the lives and fates of those subjected to its cruel and dehumanizing effects. The emasculation of enslaved people, both literal and figurative, was a barbaric practice rooted in the desire to control and dehumanize enslaved populations. It served multiple functions: preventing rebellion, ensuring loyalty, and reinforcing social hierarchies. Understanding this aspect of slavery helps shed light on the broader mechanisms of oppression and the enduring impact of these practices on descendants of enslaved peoples.